Welcome everyone to another episode of the ReEvolve Media Revolution podcast, where we interview hip-hop artists from across Canada and point out some of the wise guys among them. My name is Jordan Lewis. Today's episode features the Wiseguy. Oh, it's a wise, wise world, my friend. In a way, life is like a trek through a labyrinth. We can trace it back whenever we feel, using memories as our guide, and we can move forward to discover and explore. Choosing one path over the other, dangers lurking around each corner, with opportunities equally as frequent. One beautifully obvious thing to note is that in this labyrinth, we are not alone. It is beautiful because it is both a gift and a curse. It's easy to forget that others only know where they have been, and not all paths have carried the same weight. It's easy to forget that the path of those we grow fond of may diverge from our own. And it's dangerous to forget these things. There are many reasons I could tell you why it's dangerous to think that someone's journey was the same as yours, or to think that their paths and endgame will be the same. But it all boils down to being lost. It's a wise, wise world, my friend. Pay attention to where you are, stay focused on where you need to go, and if you see some lost souls along the way, you'll do more by showing them that progress is possible. You can see it in the wise guy's craft, you can hear it in the way he speaks. He's something of a hip-hop shaman, illuminating the labyrinth with style of his own personal finesse. So with that, let's get moving. What is up, everybody? I've got Nick here. He goes by the Wiseguy. He's hailing out of Duncan on Vancouver Island. What is up, the Wiseguy?
Yes, sir. Hello.
Yo, how you doing today, bro?
Man, I'm doing pretty swell, man. Pretty all right. How are you
Pretty
doing,
swell.
man?
I'm doing great, brother. I'm doing great. So I've got to hear that, yeah, you're out of Duncan on Vancouver Island. I'm actually not too familiar with the area, if whatnot, but were you born and raised there?
I was, man. I landed here in Duncan, BC around the time of 6 years of age. I guess I moved here and grew up here in this little small valley and on the island and amongst the trees and the mountains. And it's a
Just
very pretty
amongst the nation.
place, man. I highly recommend coming here.
That's dope. Before 6, where were you at?
Oh, well, I guess I was born on the island, man, but just moved to Duncan where I've grown
Oh,
up.
I
But
see
I
what
was
you're
born in
saying.
Victoria, which is, just south of Duncan.
Okay, I see,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
see.
yeah. Yeah,
I'm
kind
not
of
too.
moved around a little. I moved around between, Shawnigan and a couple places, man. But started living in Duncan and growing up here and haven't left since, man. It's my little home. Love the
Uh,
place.
no doubt, since you've been there since being 6 years old, you're probably very familiar with the place. It's more than home. That is
Totally.
home. Yeah, that's
Totally,
dope, man.
man.
So when did you originally start releasing music? I've got you pegged here that since 2014 you started kind of like putting stuff out, taking it seriously. In 2015, you released yourself in a music video called Patches, the Wise Guy. But when did you first kind of get inspired to start putting yourself out there and creating content that can be found?
Well, man, I guess it would have been like I was in like grade 11. It was like the summer of grade 11. I met these two homies, man. And well, basically, first, man, I should, of course, how can I forget, man? My man, Flavor Houdini, who
Flavor
used to go
Houdini.
by the Poncho Kid, who used to go by Cosmo Beats, who used to go by DJ
Man.
Wrecking Ball, man. We go way back, like me and this guy. We've been friends since we were like youngins, man. We used to busk down in Victoria. I used to play the drums and he used to rip a fiddle and stuff, And
That's crazy,
he
man. So
was, yeah, he was always making beats, man. And
this is back in
yeah,
grade
like
11 when you first linked up? What year
no,
is
man,
that?
even
Oh,
even even earlier than that, man, like middle school days, bro. This guy
middle
was
school
rocking
days.
Ableton, man. His dad got him on Ableton young and
Oh,
he
that's
started making
sick.
beats and it just made sense that like someone had to rap over him, and that was me and my buddies, right? But it was around grade 11 that I met these other two homies through him, right? And they rapped and they were pretty good and so I started rocking with them and just kind of freestyling and like trying to record tracks and like we had no fucking clue what we were doing, but like we were just having fun and it was like rapping in the park days, man,
For sure. What year
yeah,
is grade 11, just so we can kind of
that would
timestamp
have
it?
that would have been like 2013 for me, bro.
2013. Okay.
Yeah,
Yo,
summer 2013. And then, like, I guess I graduated in 2014. And that's when I truly came out of the rap closet, man. Like, that senior year of high school, like, the last couple months, I was like handing out mixtapes and telling people, like, yo, I'm a fucking rapper, you know? And like,
hey, doing it the old school way.
yeah, yeah, man. And it was kind of funny because like I've never really been too with like the shits, you know. And that was like right around the time that like SoundCloud rappers became like a fucking meme, you
For
know.
sure.
And
Yeah.
I
In a
was
good and bad way.
in a good and bad way, man, totally. And so like I was like totally that guy, but like kind of unaware in a sense because I'm a bit of a caveman when it comes to like you know the technology and
Yeah. Yeah.
phones and social media and all that kind of shit, you know. So bit of a cave dweller, you know. So
For sure.
yeah, bro. So anyway, I kind of started rapping with those guys, and we were rocking like basement shows and backyards and like doing lots of stuff. And I started kind of like I didn't tell my parents or nothing, and like didn't tell a lot of my friends and stuff. And like I was like sneaking out in class, you know, and like skipping classes and getting my one buddy Tristan, man. Tristan, he was fucking parking his car like out in this field for me, and I would go out there with my laptop and I'd like record my shit into like some headphones, you know, like a mic on a headphone
Yeah.
set,
Whatever you
you
got
know,
at the time. Yeah. For
totally whatever I
sure.
had, and just like started cutting these demos and stuff. And I met a really good friend of mine, Kyle West, who's still a good friend of mine, and we collaborate on lots of stuff. He's a roommate of mine now, and I'll get to that later. But yeah, like he really brought, you know, made me like want to put out music. He was like, this shit's dope, you know, like you got to put this out, right? And he pushed me, like told me like put out this music, you know. So started putting stuff out like around then, like just like CD style, SoundCloud style, you know. And I started hosting, like I started going to these open mics at this local rag here, man, this spot, the Duncan showroom, this old hippie guy, Long John, he runs it, and he runs like the longest music festival in the world here. It's 39 days long, and
Oh,
it's a
that's
bunch of
dope.
like yeah, it's a bunch of folk music. It's kind of it is what it is, you know.
It's
But
wild. Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty wild, man. It's pretty wild, you know. Old folks love it and shit. But you know, I started rocking at the showroom, like lots of open mics, like sneaking out and like not really telling people like where I was going, and you know, not telling my parents and shit. And I didn't have the confidence, man. Like at first, you know, and
But you knew
the
what you wanted to do, or were you focused, or did you have a plan B or other plans for potential avenues of what you wanted to do?
totally, man. Like going out of high school too, I went to trade school, and I got my first year sheet metal and metal fabrication ticket, like my apprenticeship, and
Dope. Okay.
that would have been 2015 when I graduated, right? And like everything tanked, you know, in Alberta, and like just the whole trades industry really like took a
Wasn't
hit.
wasn't doing
So
anyone any favors for sure.
totally, bro. So like, yeah, I couldn't find a job, and I ended up just like bartending and serving tables and like working that dig for a bit. And that's when shit kind of started to like take off too, is like when I was sort of finishing my schooling, like my college there, because that's when I sort of reunited, like was at the end of high school when I started doing these like open mics at the showroom, you know. I kind of got the link with Long John, and I started doing these like hip hop nights, right? And I started getting other rappers from around the way, like coming through and like doing these shows. And so we were all rocking. And that's when I kind of reunited with those two buddies that I'd met. And they went by the Crabman and Flo. And we were rolling, yeah, on like the Houdini
As like
beats.
a rapper duo.
Yeah, man. Basically, it was like
Sick.
me and the Crabman holding it down, like all through like the end of 2014, like into 2015, and like after we started doing those open mic shows, we had made like or those like showroom shows, the hip hop nights. There, we had kind of made a link and started doing these open mics, these hip hop open mics in Victoria, which is like that's like the capital of BC, right? And it's like
Yeah. Yeah.
kind of it's a bit of a bigger city, like you know, on the island, right? It's probably the bigger spot. And so that was a huge time, bro, for like island hip hop, because that was like a thing, that was like a staple, man. That brought out so many closet rappers, because like as I said, like it was like the wave of like SoundCloud rap, right? Like
Yeah.
2014, 2015, 2016, right? And so these shows were popping, man. Like tons
Because
of people
everybody's
came
getting
through.
onto it at kind of the same time.
Big time, man. Everyone was copping like USB mics and interfaces and Fruity Loops and
Hey.
like getting down, right? So, tons of kids were coming out, man, and tons of people were coming out, and like some really good MCs came out, and like they're still around, bro. Like I've gone on tours with a couple of them, and like, I remember the first time like they had ever rapped in front of a crowd, and it's kind of cool, man, to like be a part of this scene for the last couple years, like here on the island, and watch certain people grow. And, there are some heavy hitters around here, man, like a couple people, on the island that definitely making waves, I think, in the Canadian scene and the BC scene. And
For sure, man.
it's fucking dope, man. It's dope to be close to it, right?
For sure. I think it's really interesting how seasoned you are in the scene, man, because not a lot of people can say that. Not only like having started as early as 2013, 14, 15-ish, but just putting yourself out there in shows like immediately and then doing open mics like that. And then probably, obviously, maybe not to this day. I don't know if you're doing anything recently given the circumstances, but you know what I mean?
Totally, man. Yeah, totally. No, that's been my whole dig. And that was the funny part, man. When I reunited with the two homies, the Crabman and Flo, we were rolling like as Arizona back then. That was our group name, right? And we were rapping over like the Houdini beats. He was going by the Poncho Kid back then, making all our beats and stuff. And we were rocking these open mics, like tons of songs, man. Like we had like a good catalog of tunes, never recorded any of them, man. Like never
That's
got a solid
crazy.
recording. Like we had a couple sessions with a couple people like that tried to help us record shit and like just flaked, man. And like nothing ever really came of it.
So
And we
that's
were
why
rocking
Patches is a
like
fucking 18-track mixtape, because when you finally got to it,
pretty much,
the
bro. Pretty
roster
much.
was loaded.
Yo, that's dope. You dug, man. You dug. You checked out Patches, man. That's sick.
I looked into it,
Thank
dude.
you, man. Bless.
Well, I gotta say, man, and kudos to you, because I can tell you're more than just a rapper, man. You're like a true artist. The amount of like soul in your music and the variety in your style, especially like going back to that earlier stuff from Patches, I was getting the way you pick your beats and the way you tell stories, man. It reminded me of one of my favorite artists. I don't do you listen to Isaiah Rashad, or have you ever?
Of course, man. Of
Yeah.
course, man. Bless, man. That's quite the comparison. Thank you, man.
Well,
Thank
it
you.
was. I forget which song specifically it was, but I caught the vibe off of a specific song, and then I noticed it in a couple of other tracks. In a sense, like just the way you pick your beats, and like I said, your storytelling. It's super dope, man. You come out of the gates 2015 with that, or I guess 2016 was the official release of Patches, but you put out that music video in 2015.
Yeah, man. That was with my homegirl there, Inanna Kuzi. She's doing big shit now over at SFU, man. She's in film school and she's made a couple short
Damn.
films. And yeah, she's really cool, man. And it's cool to like reflect on that video. Like I got the short hair and shit. And my
Oh
mom,
yeah,
she
you're a totally
loves,
different dude.
Yeah, she loves that one. My mom, she's like, "Oh, my old wise guy," she likes that one. But yeah, the short hair and shit. Now I'm like the long haired hippie. But dude, man, bless, because yeah, that project, like it was a lot of me, and like it was a rough time too. The way that things kind of went down just with Arizona, like, and it is what it is. Like it's cool. Me and Flo and Brock, like Crabman, we had worked it out. Like we were all cool, but we really got going, man. Like with those open mic shows,
Did
we've
you guys
gotten
have a
some
fallout? Or was it like just music related, or was it
It was
like
just, honestly, it was like we were just growing up, man, and finding like our paths, and just schedules didn't line up and things just didn't work out. Like we started rocking like quite a few shows on like some bigger shows. Like we ended up opening up for Dub C. He came into town, and that was like
damn,
sold out district like nightclub show, and that was really cool, man, seeing Dub C too,
crazy.
crip walking and shit. But yeah, man, it was cool, like just rocking with them. And then the homie Crabman, he went on and he started doing upright bass, man, started playing jazz bass, and he went into the jazz program up at VIU, and he's been just going brazy since. I'll get to that later, man. He came, like, played a show with me like last year, and it was sneaky as hell, man. And he's got this hot trio, the Brock Meads trio, and they're gigging everywhere, man, and they're doing crazy shit. But he just kind of lost, I think, interest in the hip hop, and he kind of moved on. Flo, he kind of got going more on like the art and the fashion. And me, I just kind of stayed strong, and like I was always brewing those solo songs that were on Patches, right? Like meanwhile, while we were making all this Arizona stuff, and a lot of these shows, man, I would end up doing like a solo set too. And I even got invited out to do like solo sets just as the Wiseguy, right? And so that was kind of clear that like that's what I was gonna do, and
that's
I
dope,
think,
man. I never caught any of the releases from Arizona. What era was that in, or what year was that in?
well, that was the thing. We never released anything, man. Like not
Oh,
a single recording ever came out. The only thing that's out there of Arizona is actually on Patches, man, and it's that song Papes. And that's us.
Oh,
And that was on Shaw TV out here. We got on a Shaw
no
TV, like,
way.
yeah, little, and that was right before, man, like that. We did that recording for Shaw TV. It was for this island hip hop show that the guys that were doing the open mic shows in Victoria.
Yeah.
They were running this show on Shaw TV and they featured us on it and shit. And it was really cool. And like that was the only recording that ever came from Arizona. So I had to throw it on Patches because like that was a part of the journey, man. That was a part of like me. That was a part of that era, you know. And that's sort of what Patches was like. It was supposed to be like, you know, my teenagehood, my high school years, like encapsulated in this, you know, sort of message, man, to just like follow your dreams and like do what makes you tick, do what makes you happy, like find your peace, because like your soul will hurt if you don't, you know what I mean? And ultimately, man, that's what life's about, man. Life's about experiencing what you want to experience, you know?
For sure, man. And that's crazy the way you put that. Essentially, because this was your first release and it was like 18 tracks altogether. This probably, the 18 tracks altogether were probably created over the span of a few years then, hey? So it is literally different patches and portions of your life there.
Big time, man. Big time. I think you know, the one track there that I rapped over Miles Davis, man, the Billy Blues track. I'm pretty sure the first time I recorded that joint, like I did it in my buddy's bathroom, like right before like we went to this like rowdy high school party. And yeah, some shenanigans went down that night at that party for sure, man. But yeah, it was just kind of funny to like reflect, like that's like a pretty heavy song. And like, you know, I was just like recording it in like a bathroom, you know, like some of those songs I recorded in like cars, you know?
Yeah, that's
So yeah.
crazy, man. I think that's so dope because even what I was saying is like somehow you still have the quality in your content, man. I know like the bars and the delivery are on point, but I wasn't turned off by anything at all. Like I couldn't tell you were recording from whatever you were recording from.
God bless, man. Thanks, man. That means a lot because yeah, a lot went into that, and like, I'd love to give you a physical copy. I'll have to get your Addy, man, because I
Oh,
still
that'd be
have a few.
badass.
I still have a few kicking, bro. I made like these badass CDs. My homegirl, I grew up with this one too, man. My homegirl Gina, man, since we were like kindergarten, bro. I remember going to her birthday in like kindergarten, man. That's how
That's
small of a town
crazy.
Duncan is, man. And like, we grew up, and she started doing way more art, and she's got her own magazine, Soul Sucker Zion, and so I got her to do like a bunch of art for Patches, and like we kind of collaborated, and I made little art books and like custom looking CDs, and they're pretty nicey, man. So whoever has one out there is lucky. And it's kind of funny, man. Patches is one of those like mysterious projects that like just pops up, and it's kind of hard to find. That's why I'm surprised you've heard it, you know, because it's like I think just on SoundCloud online these days, like physical copies and SoundCloud. But this buddy I know, man, he bought a car from someone and was just like, it had like a disc changer in it, you know,
Yeah,
like a six disc changer. And
yeah,
he was just
yeah.
cycling through, and Patches came on,
No
and he was like,
fucking way.
yeah, what the fuck, man? Yeah. And it's one of those things, man. I've had people tell me, like, oh, I just found a copy, like somewhere, like laying around, like, or a copy just appeared, like in my car or something, you know, like it
Man,
comes to you, you know, it
that's a
finds
dream.
you.
Yeah, that's dope. If you put it out there, it's just it's up to the elements on where it pops up, right?
Fuck yeah, man. Totally.
That's so
Totally.
fucking cool. And one of the big things I'm picking up and in just conversing with you here, man, that you can tell it from your music and the different elements of your music, and that like how the people you work with to this day, or people that you used to work with, you either still work with them or you like know what they're up to and what they're about, which
Totally,
is
man. I try
again
to
not a lot of things, not something that a lot of people can say.
Totally, man. I try to keep a tight circle around here, man, and I really try to work with like local people, and especially like, you know, I call them family, man, like, you
For
know,
sure, the
especially
day
these
ones.
days. Yeah, the day ones, man, especially these days, like I've got just such a solid crew of people that are like my friends, man, like longtime friends that are like supporting my music and helping me grow it. And it's like I'm just blessed, man. I feel so humbled that, you know, these guys have stuck around me too, because like they could have easily just been like, you know, wrote me off like that meme, like, oh, if you're having a bad day, think of that guy that's still in your hometown that's trying to
That's
become
trying
a
to be a
rapper.
rapper.
Like,
Yeah, I
yo,
seen
that's
it.
me. That's me, man.
You know what's funny I find about most of these like diss memes or whatever, like they're hilarious and they kind of hit home, but like it's the rappers that like laugh at it that are putting those out there.
Fuck, man, I'm having a good time out here in D-Town, man. You know, these days I'm sitting here in my own studio here, man, and it's a pretty big fucking room. And like we were throwing
Dude,
like
that's
crazy
badass.
shows up in this joint, man. And that's what it's kind of grown to. And like, I'll tell you, man, when I started this thing, man, when I started like rocking, you know, in the car, man, like, you know, my buddy Tristan driving it out to that field and shit, and me like recording out there and skipping art class or whatever bullshit, you know. And
Yeah.
yeah, I just told them, man, and I told my friends, like, you know, the few that I told, like, I was like, I want to rock shows, man. Like, I want to have like a crowd, like, I want to have a crowd sing my lyrics back to me, man. Like, that's all I want from this shit. And it was fucking crazy, man. Just that feeling to like get on stage and like start rocking those like small open mic shows. And like, you know, they grew pretty quick, man. Like I said, like Arizona, we were rocking like crazy shit, to be honest. When I think back, like we had a lot of fun, you know. And it definitely, it's growing, man. And I feel like I've gotten to that point, like, you know, last year it was like February, I had the Fresco Domingo, my latest album release party here at my little underground studio here in Duncan, and it was sold out, man. Like big crowd of motherfuckers, and they were all singing back the one song, man, Restless. And like I'll never forget that moment, man. It was just like crazy, man, like goosebump shit, you know.
That's
because it was
crazy,
like,
dude.
you know, it felt, and I know it was like a room full of my, like a lot of my peers, my friends, like my local community, but like that's what I've been working for, man. That's what I wanted. Like that's what I told this homie when I was out in that field, man. Like it's all I've worked for. So it's like, if that's achievable, man, like what the fuck's next, you know? It's
For sure, dude. And it's like, as much as you're saying, like, it's a pretty huge memory for yourself, I'm sure a lot of the community really respects and appreciates that memory and what you did for the scene then and now, man.
totally, man. And we're just going to keep growing, man. Like, you know, like I said, I got a small circle, man, but like I'm always trying to grow and meet people and include people and give people opportunities, man. Like, especially now having this studio, and like I know it's COVID right now, and that was the last show that we threw, was that Fresco album release. And
Yeah.
prior to that, like I had Junk here in November, like around
Oh,
this time last year. I don't know if you know him, BC rapper.
yeah, I do.
Yeah, he came through, and that was a sold out show. And before that, it was like just all like local dudes coming through. And you know, we were definitely getting set up, man. Like come 2020, like January, February, we were gearing like to go full tilt through the summer and like be hosting shows and bringing people from the mainland and like going really hard. And then COVID unfortunately hit,
Yeah,
you know,
and the brakes had to
so
get slammed.
yeah, brakes just have been slammed. But I've kind of become more of like a space holder here. You know, my roommate, he sort of moved on, and it's pushed me to collect like all my own gear, all my own shit. And I've like put some lipstick on the pig around here and spruce things up. It's looking like, you know, a lot more organized than we once were, you know. It's actually
Yeah.
looking pretty professional, I'd say, man. And you know, my plan right now is to start doing like live stream shows. Like I want to start doing live stream digs here and
For
like
sure, man.
getting,
That's the natural progression for sure.
for sure,
With
because
all
I
the
feel
shit going
like,
online.
man, totally. And like so many people haven't done a show in so long. And it's like, just like, you know, I'm sure people would just love to get on stage and like rock a mic. You know what I mean? Like, even if there's no crowd and it's just a camera, like, you know, get your people to tune in, man, or like record it, post it. You know, that's kind of the
For sure, just
idea.
get yourself in that performing headspace and make it happen, make it count.
Totally, man. And that's kind
That's
of what
dope.
I've been doing here. Like lately, like I finally feel like the space is at a good point. You know, I've been working on it for like months and months and months here, you know, acquiring gear and
Oh,
just
that's so
materials and
curious.
building it.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
We're
I'll
gonna
have to
we'll
send you
touch
some
more.
vids.
We'll touch more on that actually once we get back after this break here, because I'm very curious to hear more about your studio, especially in the beginnings of it. So we're gonna
For
take that quick
sure.
break I told you
Yeah,
about
yeah,
though.
yeah.
Dope,
Cool,
dope.
man. Cool.
We're gonna listen to a track by the Wiseguy titled "Rash Decision" featuring Knox. Enjoy.
My buddy says this sounds French. I don't know. So I met her at a party once. Smoked a dub with her twice. I ain't gonna front too much. She joined a session that night, but that's really alright. Passed to the left of me, what do you see? A couple of friends and they don't want her to be talking to me. Kinda shocked to see her walking away with a group of bad seeds like, go on, speak.
I ain't gonna listen because I got no time unless you make a rash decision. So don't overthink it, make some bad decisions because me and my crew, we making rash decisions. Come on, talking blurred and I'm seeing loud, walking slurred and I'm eating sound, rocking words and I'm reading crowds, body curves made a father proud. I'm ready to hit the town for no reason. She want my coat and now I'm freezing, so I pop my keys and lean in my seat and then start heavy breathing, featuring a flask of rye. Bob Dylan and the air was dry, can't describe such a feeling but she dared to try. Second fiddle with some other guys, thumb swiddling, popping some Ritalin, chilling. These blanks they ain't filling in, just listen to what you've been missing, then make a decision. Giving or fuck it, baby, you wish you did. Go on, speak, I ain't gon' listen because I got no time unless you make a rash decision. So don't overthink it, make some bad decisions. Her friends like, oh no, go on, speak, I ain't gon' listen because I got no time unless you make a rash decision. So hop in this hatch and make some bad decisions because me and my crew, we make rash decisions.
I've been known for this bad behavior, slow dancing with death while I'm flirting with danger. I was butt naked in the back of a stolen Ford Ranger when Medusa tried to hit me with them gazers. One hand on the mic, other tilting up a bottle. Walk through the crowd with beer goggles. Take her backstage, I'll be tickling her tonsils. When I'm gone so long, where's Waldo? Back to the condo, actually it's not though. She want El Toro, but she got McDonald's. Say you got a man, but I throw a good combo. Got a love struck like Cupid with a crossbow. All the friends like, ew, this is totally so not you. Couple shots at the bar, then I'll mention a menage. And the friends like, what you wanna do?
Hang on, let the song bang on, never let it drag on. With enough time to get some slang on, ragging on whoever the fuck wants to get stuck. Trying to bring the ruckus next to us, you don't see the nexus. I flow chrome wheels on a Lexus, bigger than Texas, but never bigger than bigger. And how you figure that figure, girl? You must only get with R&B singers. Don't believe me, just watch. Let's all go, no Bruno, playing Uno with you know who's ho, but she ain't worth no more to me than a food coat. That's just food for thought, like who's in charge? Don't snooze too long, cause I'll prove you wrong. And when they thought I was gone, see me rolling up to the party, so banging in my Craigslist car like, girl on speak, I ain't gon' listen because I got no time unless you make a rash decision. So don't overthink it, make some bad decisions. Her friends like, oh no, go on speak, but I ain't gon' listen because I got no time unless you make a rash decision. So don't overthink it, make some bad decisions because me and my crew, we making rash decisions. Come on.
All right, everybody, I am back with the Wiseguy. The Wiseguy, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, bro. Is it weird if I always call you the Wiseguy, or do people just call you Wiseguy, or?
That's cool, man. Yeah, that's totally cool.
Okay, cool, perfect. Just making sure. We were talking about your buddy's name transitions earlier, or the different alias he's gone under. Did you just land on the Wiseguy and stick with it, or how'd that even happen?
You know, man, it was the first show that I rocked with those two homies, man.
You hit a show before having a name?
Yeah, like I was basically getting up with them, and I was like, they were like, you have to have a name. And you know what they were rolling by back then when I met them, man, they were rolling by G-Spot. So
G-Spot.
G-Spot. Hey. So I figured I was just a member of G-Spot, you know, but they were like, nah, you gotta have your own solo name. So I was like, fuck. And I was like really feeling, that was like summer of grade 11, and I was like really watching Goodfellas, you know? So I was like, yo, like call me like MC Pesci, or like, you know, and they were like, how about like Wiseguy? And I was like, okay, that works. Guy. So I was like, okay, MC Wiseguy, and then it was just kind of became like the Wiseguy, and I just kind of stuck with it, man. And really, like, I've kind of hated it at times. Like, I've like wanted to change it several times for sure, man, because there's some other Wiseguys out there, you know, and yeah, there's a couple, but like there's really no Wiseguy, like just the Wiseguy, you know? So I don't know, I've battled with it, but I kind of feel almost like it's like a Three Stooges kind of like, I ain't a Wiseguy, you know, and that kind of like sarcastic sense, you know? But that's the thing, man, is that I'm like this young, like, wise guy, but like I'm trying to learn every day, man. I'm trying to like grow with the name and become a wise guy, you know?
For sure.
Yeah, that's how I treat it. That's how I look at it, you know?
I like it. And I think everything, especially in hip hop, should have that. You can take multiple angles to it. It really just depends on how you're looking at it.
For sure, man. And like, now I'm trying to brand it kind of like, you know, it's a wise world, man.
Hey, isn't it though?
Yeah, it's a wise world. You got to be wise, man. Because there's a lot of crazy misinformation out there, man. You got to use your head. You got to be wise. You got to be wise, man.
Let's talk about that real quick for a sec, since you brought it up about the misinformation. What do you think is the wisest point to take when it comes to just constantly being fed not even necessarily misinformation, but just opinions that aren't necessarily yours?
Oh, man, it's really tough to not wear tinted glasses. And I think that's something we all struggle with, especially today.
Right, dude, having even subconscious biases, man, I hate it.
For sure, man. And it's tough, man. It's really, really tough because it's not as easy as people say, to just like tune it out,
For sure.
Yeah, I think like you've just got to kind of roll with it and like decide for yourself what feels right, what sounds right when you say it out loud, what sounds right when you say it in your head and your heart, you know what I mean? And you just got to sift through, man, and definitely don't just believe what your homie says or like
For
what you read
sure.
on Facebook or whatever, right? Like just you gotta think, man. Be wise, use your head, like
You
do
be
some critical
wise.
thinking, man. People lack critical thinking, and we have a lot
That
of choices, a lot of options, and I think that boggles people's minds, and they
I
get all fucking mixed
agree.
up, stirred up, and they don't know what to think,
That's
so
part of the problem, bro, is we got so many options, but people don't consider that scope of options that we do have.
totally, man. Gotta be
That's
a
what
critical thinker, you gotta
you're
decide
right.
for yourself. You just, like I said, man, do what feels right, in your head, your heart. I mean, when you say it out loud, like, but it's tough because people prove me wrong every day, man.
It's because the goal is to kind of be, in a sense, unpredictable.
Yeah.
Unpredictable, but like in a natural sort of way. Like you're considering your options, and it's not what people think you're gonna do, or it's not what everybody else is gonna do.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, I think like that's something too that we struggle with a lot as humans, just being embarrassed, right? Like no one wants
Oh,
to be
for
embarrassed.
sure,
That's like the worst
dude.
possible thing is to feel embarrassed,
Let's
So,
segue that into, because we've talked about some awesome shows that you've had, some fucking dope memories you've created, but in being a part of as many shows as you have, there had to have been those moments where you're hitting that note what we're talking about.
oh man, big time, man. And like,
Yeah, let's hear it.
that's a good segue, man, because it was a challenging time like after Arizona broke up, right? I had like patches come out like basically the following year. And 2016 was like a really crazy year for me, man. Like, putting out patches
Having
and
all this
that
material.
yeah, and that summer right before I had gone on a little tour with a beloved guy, man, great guy, man, DJ Weasel. Bless his heart, man. He's from Edmonton. I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
No, I can't say I have.
Oh man, he's been around, and like that's the thing. Weasel's been around. He's a great guy, man. Like he had gone on tour with like some legends, like Cool Keith,
Yeah,
and
that's dope. I'll
yeah,
look into it.
Most Def, and like he'd repped like a lot of sets, man. And he's a wicked DJ, like one of the best I've ever seen or heard live, man. Like with my own two eyes, And I met him, oh man, through like a series of shows. Like I'll save that story for another campfire, but you know
For sure, for
basically like
sure.
one day, man, I'll tell you this one. Basically one day I rolled in, I was like feeling kind of sick before this one show at the
Oh
showroom
shit. Yeah.
with the
So you
homie
knew it was gonna
there's
be a bad idea.
yeah, well, I rolled into the steam room, man, and here in Duncan to just kind of try to clear out. And like I
Yeah,
used to do that, quite a bit. Go to the steam room, like
it's a
sauna,
wise
do that
move. Yeah.
shit. And so I go in there, man, and there's DJ Weasel of all the people I could see in the world, man. Like there's DJ Weasel in the steam room, and I'm like, what are you doing here, man? And he's like, oh yeah, I'm DJing the show tonight. And I'm like, cool, man. Like I guess I'll see you tonight, right? And so we
Yeah.
kind of connected there. We started chatting, and then I saw him at the show, and he was like, man, you should come on this tour with me this summer, right? And I
Oh
was like,
damn.
okay, sure.
Our
Like where
connections
are
are
we
made.
going, And like, yeah, so I start, yeah, I met the guy in the steam room, kind of fucking weird, man. Beginning of
trying
a
to get
very
over my
strange
sickness.
friendship, man. Yeah, just trying to get over my sickness. But anyway, this dude, man, we planned these shows and we ended up going like out to Vancouver, man, and that was the beginning. That was the first show. It was down on Main Street at this sushi bar, man, and it was like a bar and like like they had sushi and shit. And so I was like, okay, this is gonna be interesting, right?
Yeah.
So I bust all the way out there, man, with my bag and shit. And like the only stipulation, because this was back like, this would have been, 2016, man. And I was just like really like hungry, man. I was just trying to like jump on any opportunity to like make links, like meet people and,
For sure.
kind of do it the old fashioned way. Cause like I said, man, I'm kind of a caveman, right? So I jumped
the
on
only
the
way we know how.
opportunity and I bust my ass out there, man. And like, I remember rolling up and it was like this pretty shitty looking spot. And I like rolled up to this upstairs, and there was like one family sitting there eating and like two guys at the bar. And then just like the group that was like there for the show, right? And luckily there were some island homies there, man, Switch and Morgan Murray. And, I had kind of known them like from doing shows. I don't know if you've ever heard of them, man. Switchblade.
The names are familiar, yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely making some waves, man, here on the island. And, that was back, 4 years ago, right? And so anyway, did this show, man, for like the one family, the two guys at the bar bounced, so I'm rocking this show, whatever. I just felt like kind of an idiot in this sushi bar, and we were all kind of just got through a set, whatever, and there were some people there and, all these guys talking, oh, I'm a producer, I'm this, that, whatever, and so I'm hanging around and, Weasel's getting pretty drunk, man. And he, I guess, met this girl or something and they were hanging out and they were getting pretty drunk. And, I don't know, I just lost track of him. And then he bounced and I called him and because that was the only stipulation. I told him, I was like, I'll do these shows with you, man, but you have to have like a place for me to like rest my head at the end of the night. Like I got to have a place to stay. Wherever you're crashing, like I'll just crash on the floor, like it's all good,
Oh, especially if you're bussing, bro.
Totally, bro. Yeah. And he was like, yeah, you can stay in my hotel and shit, right? And so he fucking bounced and I call him and he's like, oh yeah, man, I'm going to this art show and like, sorry, man, I'll catch you later or whatever. I was like, what the fuck, right? So I ended up, that's kind of when I befriended Switch, right? And that's the beginning of like, that was the beginning of like quite the friendship. So I stayed with him that night. I slept on the kitchen floor. It was fucking rough at his buddy's house, out in East Van. And it was all good, man. But like, I had this show in Surrey the next day with Weasel, right? And Switch and Morgan Murray, they had to go back to the island. They were doing another show. So I had to go out to Surrey. And before I went out there, I called Weasel and he's not picking up. And I'm like, yo, where the fuck are you, man? And finally picks up and he's like, oh man, I took the first ferry to the island in the morning. And I'm on Vancouver Island, like back like at my home, man, like in Nanaimo. And I'm like, what the fuck, dude? So he's like, yeah, go rock this show in Surrey by yourself. And I'm like, no, man, I'm not going to, like, I'm not rocking this show in Surrey. And it wasn't like heat or nothing. It was just like this like cafe, but I was just like, or
but
bar
if he's the
or something.
DJ,
I don't even know what it was.
Introduce yourself?
Yeah, it was his show. I'm like, what the fuck, dog? So we went back and I rocked a couple more shows on the island with him. And then I agreed to go to Nelson and Kamloops with this guy, man. And I was really hesitant. I didn't really want to go. I was like, sure, and so I ended up fucking going and it turned out to be like a really great experience, man. I rocked like at Bloom nightclub up in Nelson and that's quite the spot, man. It's got like this big cool plant wall, all these plants growing and it was pretty cool, man. Good little crowd and, met some cool people and shit. And then I rocked at this strip club, man, in Kamloops. And that was quite the sight, man.
Because is this all part of this series, this one tour? Or is
this one tour, man? This one tour. And this is the thing, man. It kind of turned out as kind of my point.
Yeah, it started like fucking
some shows were pretty fucked, but then it all turned out pretty all right,
crazy,
in a way. The strip club show was pretty heinous, bro. Like, they ran it like stripper, rapper.
Oh, damn.
So every time there was a stripper up, there was like a big crowd, and then every time there was a rapper, everyone just went and got a drink, So that kind of was what it was.
Dude.
But it was still kind of cool, it was going all the way up there. I'd never been to Kamloops or Nelson either, so it was kind of a nice little road trip in the summer. And I came back and I ended up doing a little California trip just with my buddies, went to a festival down there in October, and I came home and put out patches. And, then I started grinding, man, working on that tape Vines, the EP,
Yeah, and for your 2018 release.
Yeah, bro. And through those years, man, those were some growing years, man. And there were some growing pains, especially with the shows, because like I said in the beginning, man, that's always been my bread and butter is performing, man, and getting live and getting on stage. And I'm a showman, So there were some tumultuous times doing local shows, some pretty rough bars,
some pretty rough spots, man, and just like a lot of shows with crickets, you know?
Yeah.
A lot of growing pains, man, through those years.
Before we jump into your vines, your EP there, I just got to ask one question about the stripper rapper scenario. Did they have a person who was both a stripper and a rapper to finish off the show?
Oh no, man, that would have been lit. That would have been very lit,
that would have
man.
made it legendary, eh?
That would have made it very legendary, man. I
Oh,
think
man.
actually I closed the night out that night, man. I
Oh,
went
dude, that's
at
actually
like
pretty sick.
1:30 in the morning, man. Yeah, and like it was all right, man. It wasn't
It was
too
all
bad.
right.
It was like right before the club closed and shit, and I kind of got stiffed, but it was cool,
Fuck,
man.
okay,
it
so
was what it was, you know.
Oh man, yeah. Well, let's jump into your project, The Vines. Here, it's a 4-track EP, and for each release, you did a music video filmed and edited by Colton Parker Davis.
Yes, sir, man.
You got
That was
mad art, dude. So many artistic elements involved in this project.
Yes, sir, man. That was the beginning of quite the relationship with Colton, man. Because like I went to high school with the guy, man, and he was living out in Alberta for a couple years after high school, and I didn't really see him for a while. And then I don't know, I just connected. He reconnected with me. I reconnected with him, and he's like, "Yeah, let's just shoot some music videos, right?" And we had done that one joint with Jelly Note, the Oceans, and the Oceans joint, and that was our first project together. And then after that, we started tackling the Vines. But I remember the first night, man, that Colton and I filmed together, because we had been talking about it. It was even before we had done Oceans. It was like May, I remember, because like the carnival comes to Duncan in September and like May around that time every year.
Yeah.
And so I was working at the bar at the time, and I had just gotten off at around 7 o'clock or whatever. I worked like an afternoon shift, and Colton comes in with buddy there, Cooper, tracksuit Terry, and he comes running in and he's like, "Fuck, we gotta go film at the carnival like right now." And I'm like, "Dude, like for what? Like I don't even have a song, man." And he's like, just pick a song, like any song." And at that point, like I had only had Tasty, kind of like roughed. So we went out to the carnival, and this dude was running the merry-go-round, and we were like, "Yo, like can we get on and like film?" And he was like, yeah, sure. He was like a cool like young guy, and he was down, and he let like just us get on the ride. And I think we bought tickets that night. We did buy tickets or whatever.
That's crazy. Yeah,
we got on and just kind of roughed it, right? And we never ended up using that footage because we were like, we got to go back and like do this proper, right? And man, we went to the carnival, and Duncan, like we chased like 6 carnivals to film that video, man.
No way.
Yeah. We had to chase these carnivals. Like we showed up at one carnival that didn't even exist. We were told that this one was out in Sydney, and like went there, and like there's fuck all going on. And
that's crazy.
Oh yeah, man.
Dude.
We went to 6 carnivals before we got that Tasty video done, man. And that was quite the effort, And
Dude,
one of the
takes
times,
some mad drive.
big time, man. One of the times out here in D-Town too, man, we were just getting heckled. All these kids were following us. The carnies were like giving us like a really hard time, and like, and this is the thing, man. Like we could only shoot our shot basically like 2 times a year. Right?
Sure.
So we fucking went to this one carnival in like the fall, and we tried filming, and like it just went so horribly, man. And like we walked out of there like feeling just pretty dejected, and like people were laughing, like just heckling us, man, like that classic, what we were talking about, man, like people just, "Oh, fucking SoundCloud rapper over here,"
fucking yeah. But my question for you when you were recording, were you actually rapping the lyrics along to it, or were you just like kind of mouthing it?
Oh, I was trying to rap it, man, but we played like the song right, with the lyrics, right,
for
to
sure.
sync it all up, so
yeah.
People are like, "Oh yeah, he's just lip syncing," but I always try when the music videos, man, actually rap the shit, because it just comes, I don't know, man, I struggle with the lining of the lips up to the lyrics,
for sure.
So it's,
I wouldn't doubt it. I'm just saying it's because you're in public. Like I can imagine the amount of attention you'd get for like doing that, and like at different volumes too, right? And different intensities.
Totally, man. Totally. And this was the funny part, man. That had happened, and then we chased the carnival down to this other part of the island, right, when it had moved down there like a couple weeks later. And this was kind of our last shot. We're like, man, like this is the last one till like next May. So if we don't get it, like we're fucked, So
yeah,
we went out to this Luxton rodeo, man. And lo and behold, man, we went to the merry-go-round and it was the same guy, man, from the first time Colton and I went out filming. Yeah, same fucking guy. And he remembered us and he's like, "You're still working on this same video?" So, and we're like, "Yeah, man, well, you let us on." Well. Dude, he ran the merry-go-round for like 10 minutes straight, man. We were like dizzy getting off it, man. Dude. But we filmed like the whole video. Guy was like a total beauty, man. I don't remember his name, but like shout out that fucking guy, man. You know, and it was just so funny because like we went through like kind of hell and high water, man, like a lot of drive to like get that video done. And like that was sort of like one of my first projects with Colton. And, you know, he just like was persistent, man. And, you know, I think that's one of our best videos still to this day, man. I love that video. And yeah, dude, showed me he's a good guy to work with, man.
For some reason, that was the first one that I watched, and I really enjoyed it. It's the one that inspired me to watch the rest of them, actually, because I was like, holy shit. Like, I didn't know the amount of effort and time that went behind it. I thought it was a lot, but I'm understated in my head.
Yeah,
right
man.
now.
Yeah, man.
That's crazy. But yeah. we're pressing our time here. Let's jump to the next project. Or is there anything else out of like the Vines that you want to quickly touch on? Because we're still in 2018 here.
Yeah, man. Yeah, just like going through those years, man, is when I started throwing like a lot of these local shows, you know, and I started doing shit at a lot of bars, man. I was doing shows at this one local bar here that like a lot of the people go to here in Duncan. And, you know, my motto there was just like, I'll take it to them, you know, and see if they like it instead of trying to build it and hope they'll come, you know.
I like that. Yeah.
They were pretty successful, but they were fucked, man. Like the one show, like we sold it out before we way oversold it, you know. And so we had like lineups like down the road, man. You know, because it was a popular night spot, right? So we had our crowd plus like all the people that didn't even know there was a show, you know, and we had sold a bunch of tickets in advance. So, you know, a lot of learning curves, man. Say what?
Was this like a Friday, Saturday night?
Oh, yeah, man. It was like they gave us like a Friday, Saturday night spot. And yeah, it was pretty sick, man. And like we made some good cash and like paid our artists, man. And it was kind of the beginning of like my promoting days. But through that, man, I had some really bad experiences too, you know, with just people and drunk driving and just a lot of bullshit, you know. And I just kind of was like, I'm done, man. I want to stay away from local bars. And the bars started kind of fucking me around. So I was just like, man, I'm done. I'm not doing shows until I can like own the spot, you know what I mean? Like I got real estate, right? And so I moved into this
2018.
Yeah, man. I moved into this little studio like around like 2018, 2017, 2018, towards the end of 2017, I guess it was. And yeah, it was 2017. I had this little spot, and you know, basically I had that spot for a year, and then I got introduced to not introduced, I knew these homies of mine, man, Mika and Kai. Mika had this night spot going here in Duncan for like quite a few years, right? And he basically invited me to come in, and that's when we started doing these crazy shows at this kind of underground DIY venue, right? And I moved in there, it was like the end of 2018, and I've been here since. Time and space, baby. And that's what it is, man.
Yeah, man, that's so
crazy. So it's been kind of like a wild ride to get to this point where like we hold ground here in Duncan now, man. Like, you know, I think we are really like manifesting like a scene, and there are other little venue spots popping up, and there are other people throwing shows, and there are other people like doing things. But, you know, I feel like a lot of people are like networking out of like this space, man. A lot of people are meeting each other, and it's really cool to like help nurture that, man, you know, because it would happen anyway. But it's just cool to help provide a space that nurtures exactly that, you know?
100%. I agree with that, man. And it's because if you weren't nurturing that space, you'd be the one seeking it out as well, right?
Totally, man. And like, you know, it's like limited here in Duncan. There's not a lot of shit to do, man. And, you know, I think I see it, man. I work in it, right? And, you know, kids just turn to substance, man, younger and younger, and just they're bored, man. And, you know, dreams are worth a lot, man. And I think it's cool to see like more and more. And that's why I always welcome, man, like more and more people to like start rapping, start making beats, like get creative, like do something, because it keeps you busy, man. It keeps you distracted, you know?
For sure. And it's not competition when you treat it that way. It's just community.
Fuck yeah, man. That's what it's all about, man. I'm all about community, man.
That's dope, man. And so
yes, sir.
we don't have too much time to touch on the 2019 and 2020 releases, but or unless there's anything in particular you want to talk about there, but what more or less is coming up for the Wiseguy in the near future? Like what do you find? Because I know before, or when we went on our little break there, you were talking about how the shows you were hosting were ramping up, and then now we're in a realm where we can't do anything close to what we'd hoped to. So what's coming up? What's next?
Yeah, damn, man, we really ran out of time, but and that's kind of the beauty, man, with this journey of the Wiseguy, man. I won't talk about myself, third person, but that's kind of what I'm trying to create, man. Is this world, man, and I guess the last couple of years you didn't get to hear about, but you got to hear about all the years that you might have missed, and I guess the music's there, man. The blueprint's there. You can just dive headfirst into Fresco Domingo and ride it all the way through Extendo, Enormous, Ice Day. Next up, baby, we got Aqua Dip, man. That's December 13th.
Oh,
and
hell yeah.
I think that's the next song. This probably like the last song maybe you'll be playing on the podcast here, man.
Oh, dope. Hell yeah.
Yeah. And it's my next release, man, December 13th. It's produced by my man Flavor Houdini. We had taken a little trip down to Los Angeles earlier here in 2020, like right at the beginning of March. And we have a good friend, man, who does all our mixing, mastering, that was living down there working in a studio. Oh. And yeah, he was doing some cool shit. And so we went down and we cut some tracks with him. And that's basically like all the recent ones that you've heard, like Enormous, Ice Day, Aqua Dip. I started down there, but I ended up finishing back here in Canada. My roommate here, Tristan Renaud, he recorded it for me. And yeah, it's pretty vibey tune, man. I guess I'll just let you hear it. But, what you can expect from me, man, now I'm just on a single series, bro. The When in Rome single series. It took 500 years for Rome to collapse, and I ain't collapsing, man. I'm building. So,
hey.
Each single's a brick, man. And I'm just putting out singles from now till the end of time, man.
That's beautiful.
Like Bob Dylan's never-ending tour, man. It's like the never-ending single release series,
Amazing. I actually just wanted to say one thing because I was hoping to bring this up I'll make it super quick here, but Cookie Pack, I had to give some respect to the music video for that because I don't know, I love laughing at music videos, man. And
yes,
kudos,
sir, man.
Kudos to Cookie Pack,
man.
bro.
Cheers, man. Again, my man Colton Davis, man, he is the hardest working videographer in British Columbia, man. Like that dude, he is going places, man. He's doing big shit. And I think that Cookie Pack video, man, that one stressed us both out a little bit, man. It took a long time to film.
I don't doubt it. Yeah.
You know what was the problem with that one, bro? We just kept waiting for sunny days, man. We started it at the end of summertime and we finished it like at the end of winter, man. And so we were just always waiting for fucking sunny days to go out and film, man. Like, because it's always wet here on the coast, bro. It is always wet on the wet coast.
That's hilarious, dude.
But it turned out, man. It's a pretty funny one, man.
Is there anything you want to say on your sign out to anybody that might be listening right now?
Oh, just shout out everyone, man. Shout out you, man. Thanks, Jordan. Thanks for having me, man.
Of course.
Yeah,
Nick,
man. I really appreciate it, man. Shout out, the Flavor Houdini always hold me down. Colton Davis, Elijah, man. My girl Bella, my mom. Patches up in the sky. My dad. Yes, sir. That's it.
Word. Patches up in the sky?
Yeah, man. He passed away, man. Right after I released the project, man. But he's always with me, man. Peace and time can heal every soul, bro.
That's crazy. So Patches the mixtape was also an ode.
Kind of an ode, man, but it was like not really an ode because he was still alive, when I was like putting it all together, right? And he passed away like right after I put it out. It was pretty fucked up timing, man. Yeah, but he was a good little dog, man. And, he just was so peaceful, man. And that's what I took a lot of inspo from was just like, man, this dog he is peace, man. He's just chill.
Word, man. Dogs are everything.
Dogs are fucking dope.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, bro. I really appreciate you taking this time. It's been a great conversation.
Thank you, man. Thank you. It's been really great conversation, man. It's been really great talking.
Yeah. All right. Well, link with you later, all right?
Most definitely, man. We will definitely link up again.
Hell yeah. Okay. Peace, bro.
Aqua Dip, December 13th.
Let's get it.
Peace.
I hope you enjoyed that interview with the Wiseguy. If you want to learn a little bit more about him, head on down to www.reevolvemedia.com/The Wiseguy. And just to end it off, we are going to listen to a track by him titled Aqua Dip. Enjoy and take care.
Flavor Houdini.
Been the same dog since I came through. Got the same tone, talk the same road since I came through. Crazy what we've been through, and they assume every day since we came through. Everybody changed much, something like the rings do. Yeah, the bling blow, and I need some things more. So I hit the same dot, and he came through. Loaded up the tracks and said, okay, Wiseguy, we got some shit to do. Pause the night up in the booth, ain't got shit to lose. Crazy rebel, yo, trying to get a treble boost. Gotta get my levels through, and we ain't gon' settle soon. Let them loom and stare and watch and wonder how he really does it. Bunch of buzzes, I see you looking at me, you know it's me. So cool that breeze, oh, it's me. Rolling all the cookies with the cream. Yeah, I hope you know it's me. Bang bang, it's a shot, don't screw it up. Gang hang for the live, then we boot it up. Like a Windows 92 up in the studio. Man, I'm always zooted up in the vintage stuff. No apologies if you think I'm rude to you. Cold heartedly, I left them in the mud, but had to when I came back. I ain't mad at you, you the same cat. I'm just more cautious. Just a life lesson, had to learn that, burn that. Heard grass just to see past, think fast, cause it really ain't easy coming last. Just like the rant that's out the first of nothing. Time cruise through the scene, yo, I've been stunting. Jumping on couches, no time for slouches. Yo, let them run their mouth, kids. Only difference is, y'all know I'm about it. I seen you looking at me, looking at me. Oh yeah, you know it's me, you know it's me. So cold that breeze, oh it's me. Rolling out the cookies with the cream. I hope they always know it's me. I seen you looking at me, looking at me. I'm looking back to you, take kids. You know it's me, I'm fucking sleeping. Cookies with the cream. Same done since I came through. Got the same tone, talk the same road since I came through. Crazy what we've been through, and they assume every day since we came through. Everybody changed much, something like the rings do. Yeah, the bling blow, and I need some things moved. So I hit the same dot, and he came through. Loaded up the tracks and said, okay, Wiseguy, we got some shit to do.